Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the anti-debate tournament. This is the third and final round between 12C and 12D. The topic we have at hand today is gender superiority in professional careers. Let me first introduce the judging panel, Mr. Haytham Matbouh, Mr. Zoya Mujiri, and Mr. Rabat Hala. We'll waste no time and we'll start right away. Clear statement of main idea in opening statement, 12B, Salah Halabi.
Men are superior over women, but if we say the complete opposite, many people will say that sounds ridiculous. And we can deny though that our first love was the women, our mothers, and our beloved sisters, daughters, and wives. But as for men, they literally excel in every field. Men create everything you see in the world. Men invented electricity, men invented the internet, men invented cars, trains, planes, weapons, submarines, and the list goes on and on. It's basically everything you see is because the man created it. We achieve everything that is to be achieved. Anything that is impossible to be achieved by women is achieved by men. And now one of the girls might get up and say that women are smarter than men. But a great leader once said, it is always more difficult to fight against faith than against knowledge. Thanks.
Behind every great man is a great woman. A truer truism would be that behind every great man is probably an even greater woman who in most cases ought to be out in front. As the existence of Adam and Eve developed, questions about superiority and consequent inferiority emerged along with humans. First of all, let me define superiority to you all. Superiority is the quality of being higher in rank or importance. In nearly every field, women's error rate is lower than that of men. And although women are outnumbered by men, women outperform men. They are the bearers, the nurturers of life, and in most cases, men tend to be the destroyers of life, as mentioned by Alfie Montague in his book, The Natural Superiority of Women. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of my team, I believe that women are better than men, and we're standing here to prove to you all beyond reason how women are superior to men, and not only to end the debate about men versus women, but also to change its starting point. Thank you.
Now the first point by 12B, Muhammad Zahir.
A quote that can be used to refer to the female human race in our world nowadays. Asking and struggling for rights that a person has been deprived of isn't a shame. Each and every part of the human race must be noticeably respected and considered as a significant division in our society. However, the struggling of women to gain the superiority over men is what is considered to be shameful, because by that, they would be considered as avaricious, and they would be initiating a harsh social war, which they can hardly handle. So why are men superior to women? Males are the best division of the human race that can be used for leadership in various situations. According to many facts, studies, and statistics done by the American Health Association, significant differences exist between the male and female brains. Males and females do not think, behave, or respond in the same way, either on the inside or on the outside, and that really affects the superiority of one gender over the other. IQ, which measures potential to learn by testing different abilities, among others, is often directly correlated to one's intelligence. Taking a look at the top 15 highest IQs of all time, we realize that 13 of them are men, and the top 4 spots belong to men. Now, we are going to show you a list of 10 people that have the highest IQs in our present day. And surprisingly, 9 out of 10 are men, and only 1 is a woman. Stephen Hawking, age 70, IQ 160. Kim Ong-young, age 50, IQ 210. Paul Allen, age 59, IQ 170. Rick Rosner, age 52, IQ 192. Gary Kasparov, age 49, IQ 190. Sir Andrew Wiles, age 59, IQ 170. Judith Polgar, which is the only female, age 36, IQ 170. Christopher Hirata, age 30, IQ 225. Terence Lowe, age 37, IQ 230. James Wood, age 65, IQ 180. Away from IQ and back to the brain, first of all, the male brain is highly specialized, using specific portions of one hemisphere for a variety of functions. The female brain is more diffuse and utilizes specific portions of both hemispheres, which can initiate different brain centers, and that can cause some distraction for women while they're doing their activities. In addition to that, men can narrowly focus their brains on specific tasks and activities for a longer time without tiring, unlike women. Thirdly, men are able to categorize information, stimulus, emotions, and relationships into separate compartments within their brain. However, women tend to link everything together. Fourthly, women during pregnancies and menstrual cycles tend to have hormone fluctuations, which can trigger stress and impaired memory. All of these scientific facts show the secret and emphasize the secret behind women's mood swings and bad temper in many organizations and firms. And these characteristics are not what wise leaders need. If we take a look at history, most notable and skilled philosophers, mathematicians, scientists, engineers, and politicians are men. Historical scientists such as Albert Einstein, Gregor Mendel, Isaac Newton, and Farad were all from the male human division. They created the most important field of study, which is known nowadays as science. Also, we shouldn't forget the great historical leaders such as George Washington, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, and Nelson Mandela, who were famous for their great mentality in leading their people. Finally, you may blame it on the fact that women have been oppressed, but this is not the case. Nowadays, women are earning math, science, and engineering degrees higher than ever before. Yet, the percentage of patents filed is 5.5%, 5.5% hardly changed from a decade prior. Even though women nowadays are gaining equal knowledge to men, they are still not making as many contributions and have fewer accomplishments. To prove that, till now, men like the best surgeon in our present days, Dr. Scott Armisen, and one of the greatest billionaires, Carlos Hello, are still showing more accomplishments than women. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And now first examination by Hanan Gharib.
because they base on the part of the hemisphere while women use more connection. And how is this a bad thing since women are better multitaskers?
Okay, first I didn't say that they are totally smart, but I said that the structure of the brain are different. Now, you said that you are thinking that both hemispheres working together make them multitaskers, right? Okay, this is not the case. Initiating certain different brain centers can let them like shift from focusing and can distract their activities, and their everything they do. Also, this is not what leadership needs. What a leader needs, since these emotions and that are distracting their activities and these different brain centers working together can cause them lack the ability for decision taking and many problems in organization. And also, Six said, when it comes to performing activities that require spatial skills like navigating directions, men generally do better. Women use the cerebral cortex for solving problems that require navigational skills. Men use an entirely different area, mainly the left hippocampus, a nucleus deep inside the brain that's not activated in the woman's brain during navigational tasks, said by Gary from the web and the...
When you listed the IQs of men, in what way this is not a message to say that men are not smarter? You just contradicted yourself.
Men are more intelligent. You said...
Yeah, you just contradicted yourself.
Yeah, you said that I am saying that men are totally smarter. Well, this is not the thing. Men are more intelligent.
What's the difference between smartness and intelligence?
Wait, Intelligence depends on some abilities, by testing some abilities like attention retention, problem solving capabilities, and pattern finding capacity.
You also forgot.
So they are more skillful. They are more skillful. That's what is meant by intelligence. The ability to have skills.
You also forgot emotional intelligence, in which women dominate. Nevertheless, you mentioned part about leaders. Don't you think leaders multitask?
Sorry?
Don't you think leaders multitask?
How do they multitask?
And how is using just logic a good decision-making method?
Well, when a woman is a boss or when a woman is CEO and she wants to, and she has an employee that is not working correctly, but his living abilities are not, don't help him to live properly in our society. Because of her emotions, she could not fire him, she may not fire him. So this is not, like, she doesn't take proper decisions.
Of course, because maybe that employee has a family, he has to provide for his family. Women's emotions make them more sympathetic.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you have to vote for the emotions.
Excuse me, let me...
This doesn't mean...
May I continue my point? It is women's emotions who make them more sympathetic. It is women's emotions who make them more sympathetic. Using logic alone is not even an adequate reason for why men are superior. While women are using emotions, it makes them better communicators. Having better communication with team members, solves the problem in a faster way. So are you saying that the best solution is to instantly fire the employee?
Well, if the employee is affecting the production of the organization, then yes. And what does logic have to do with communication? When you have good logic, when you have communication, yeah, you just
women are better. Yes, exactly. Because actually, I did not contradict myself. I said that men only use logic in their decisions, while women use logic and emotion. How is that contradicting myself?
That's why you just said that men using logic are not able to communicate with their employees.
Yes, because they don't use emotions, they don't sympathize.
And now you just said that logic doesn't have to do with communication.
Regarding the first focus examination, Then the first point by 20.
For most women, discussing and sharing our problems is an opportunity to explore and strengthen relationships with the person they're talking to. Solving a problem can profoundly impact the way they feel with that person and the relationship with that person. Men approach the problem-solving process in a different way. Because men have the tendency to dominate and assume authority to other people, it makes the solving process more important than how it's solved. So it presents an opportunity to demonstrate their competence, their strength of resolve, and their commitment to a relationship. Secondly, we are better at the money market. We can make more money financially. Why? Because we are risk averse. And why are we risk averse? This has come down to biological reasons. This is because the testosterone in males makes them overconfident. And as they're overconfident, they take silly decisions and take risks. As John Emmerich said, the problem with men is that they think they know what they're doing, but even when they don't know what they're doing. Thirdly, leading. The vast majority of leaders are men. But how do I prove that women are better leaders? Simply by reminding you all that all our leaders who are males are failures. They fail at being successful. This has been demonstrated, and this demonstration has been going on for centuries now. For example, Hitler, who literally made the ashtrays and soup bars of people who just weren't blonde enough for him. Che Guevara, who is a brutal murderer. Lenin, who is responsible for death camps. Mussolini, the dictator, and they're responsible for putting countries in wars when it really wasn't necessary. And this has continued up until now. We can see countries in our hometowns. We don't have to go into details or mention names, but what has our male leaders proved rather than bringing our world into a disastrous state of turmoil? We are better leaders, of course. Why? Because we are better leaders. From the simplest example, family dynamics, to the biggest example of country reigns, correspondingly, a woman is a leader in her own family because she follows up with her family members in every aspect in her life. And just as Dr. Alice Igby said, women are more likely to possess leadership qualities that are associated with success. A bigger example of this are country reigns by females. The Victorian era, when Queen Victoria ruled, was the biggest example of a successful leadership because it was a long period of refined sensibilities and prosperity and peace. A bigger example is Empress Theodora, Marie Antoinette, who created the railroad. Empress Theodora, who is the most powerful and influential woman in the Roman Empire back in time. And Joan of Arc, who was burned at the stake just because she led the French army to victory. All these prove that women are more transformational, inspirational, and ethical.
Time for cross-examination, Muhammad Zaki Abdul Huda.
You have said in your point that there are many male failures, male leaders that fail. Okay, and you brought Hitler and Che Guevara and other leaders. But don't you think that there are other males that who are leaders, of course, that actually they reached their goals and achieved them, and they actually made it more? Like the 52 president of the United States, they started from nothing, from a revolution against the British Empire. They just made now the greatest country in our world.
Are they,
They're made, all of them.
are they those presidents you're talking about that have turned our countries into a disastrous state? Let's talk about
How about Nelson Mandela? He was abused, okay?
who was you?
Nelson Mandela,
Oh, yeah.
okay? He led his country and his people to victory, okay? Although he was abused, he was able to rise from nothing, from the ashes himself.
Yeah, what has he done to his country?
You just brought specific examples of how males failed some small things, but there are other big males, big leaders that actually made it through.
Yeah, aren't most of them failures?
No?
No?
No, let's take an example. The British Empire now.
Yeah.
There's Elizabeth Queen. She owns. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't
Exactly.
decree. She doesn't do anything. She's just the face of the country. But the prime minister works a lot for his country. Another thing. Let me finish. Give me another example of these three males. You just gave me three males and about 7 women. Give me more males that fail leaders, of course. Actually fail.
What about Egypt, Syria, Tunisia?
That status just to take over the resources of the country, just for their own status.
Yeah, does that mean that they're good leaders?
And not for the country itself.
What's the country? Aren't the country?
That's why there are revolutions in those countries that actually
Revolutions to
people
prove that
of the people of those countries they overwhelmed their tyrant and now they're ruling their
Why are there revolutions? Isn't it because their leaders are failures?
Okay, now we're just taking an example of the armed states here.
Yeah,
But how about let's go to Europe, the USA, and America.
Yeah.
They're also rising. Why? Because they have the male leaders. They are probably almost all of them are male leaders, and they're now making it through the news.
I hope you understand that we're talking about the American and the British people that are ruining our country, and they're not successful people. In our own point of view, this is not a good thing.
They're occupying our land. Are they occupying our land, forcing us to go labor and do things that we don't want? We're doing anything we want. It's the corrupted leaders here.
Exactly. This is a point against you, by the way.
By the way, I tell you, in the next few years, the Arab world will rise.
Yep. And they're going to join us.
Now the second point will be Guy Othman.
As Jane Elliott once said, who is an American former school teacher and now a feminist and social activist, about 10,000 years ago, males and females were acting equitably and were treating one another as equals. But then, males took over the power because they have the physical strength and the physical power. Over the years, there have been many arguments and researches related to this subject. And although some gender differences can be controversial, as you just saw, there has been always one thing that humanity was sure of. males are dominant over females physically. Many biological studies and research has proven this point, and many statistics taken throughout history back up the fact of the physical superiority of men. Most traditional societies that we know of today show a bias towards male dominance and not the female dominance. Why? The supremacy of man over woman is usually ascribed to the physical factors. Circumstances required a more forceful type of leadership, and since they were favored by the genetic factors of strength and power, males assumed the leadership role. Also, membership in families, such as property rights and names, are transmitted through men in every 4 out of every 5 societies. In all major societies in the world at present, social organization revolves around the man, not the woman. Man's body is much better attributed to rough physical work. In the way man's physique is built, his central and massive body is formed by the chest. Man has broad shoulders, strong arms. Man has stronger muscles than women. In short, man projects an image of strength. Women, on the other hand, possess a body that's more structured for motherhood, and for her central body is formed by the womb. Also, moving on, women are also smaller in stature and way more prone to injuries than men. They have a 300% greater chance of getting ACL tears, getting hairline fractures in their hips while marching, and even 150% greater chance of incidence of concussions. Why? Men have high levels of testosterone, which is anabolic in nature, where it increases the rate of protein synthesis and the ability to maintain larger amounts of muscle mass, says Henry Brennan, an exercise psychologist at the Institute of Sport. There was a study done in which males were not allowed to exercise over a 12-week period, and yet they were given 600 milligrams per week of testosterone and theanine, and the rate of increase of muscle mass was measured through quadriceps biopsy. After the 12-week period, the males had a rate of increase in muscle mass up to 12 pounds. Moving on, women's lower body strength is usually somewhat close to that of men, while their upper body strength is half that of men. In a 1993 study exploring gender differences in muscle makeup, female participants exhibited only 52% of upper body strength that of men, which the researchers attributed to the smaller muscles of women and the presence of high amounts of fatty tissues in the upper body of the women. Another study published in 1999 showed that women had 40% upper body skeletal muscle, less upper body skeletal muscle than men, says Professor Fogelman, who is a consultant physician in nuclear medicine in St. Thomas Hospital. Also, the natural differences can also be proved by the division of labor in our society. In practically all primitive societies, aggressive jobs are done by men. It is the men who do the hunting, the fishing, the metalworking, the weapon making, the boat building, the construction, and so on. It is again the men who work in the most productive society and the most productive branches, while women more and more join the service branches, such as cooking, laundry, teaching, catering for children. Finally, let's take a look at all the performance of the elite athletes, both male and female. A study done upon the records of elite athletes over a decade or so found that men are 40% stronger than their female counterparts with similar training experience and background. Also look at all the Olympic records. All female records are so far below them that men's that it's almost ridiculous. Men are the backbones of our society, while women just aid in men's growth, power, and superiority. Still don't believe me? Let's look at the statistics. These are the world and Olympic records for all the recorded athletes. Let's look at the 100-meter run. The world records and the Olympic records of men are better than the women. And the 400-meter hurdles, again, men dominated the sport over women. The 4x100-meter relay, again, men, and there is significant difference in the numbers. Again, moving on, we see that in the high jump, the long jump, the world records and the Olympic records of men are just dominating the female counterparts. The pole vault, the triple jump, almost all sports and almost every physical attribute of men is dominating the woman. Finally, the hammer throw and javelin throw. There's almost a 10-meter difference in length difference between men and women, and you still call women superior to men.
men, because they are physically superior, it means they are directly superior over women in everything, right?
Leadership, physical superiority.
Men have more muscles. Their functions are much more important than those of women, right? If a woman didn't tailor the clothes for her children, would they wear any clothes? If they didn't cook for their children, would they eat?
Construction worker doesn't build the house you live in. Would you live in on the street? If a fisher or a hunter doesn't hunt the food you eat.
I just want you to know that we live in the 21st century, the century of modern technology, where machinery do 90% of a man's manual labor, especially in construction, especially in agriculture, and maintenance, and in
So you want to prove to me that machinery took over men's workplace? Okay, there are machines that tailor our clothes. There are machines that cook for us. Why do we need? So what's the difference between this and this?
Because children need a mother's compassion more than they need her to live.
Okay. And the protection of the father and the work of the father that builds the house. That's how they protect their children.
Another thing, what about the disadvantages of having more muscle mass? What about the disadvantages of having more muscle mass?
No disadvantages of having
Oh, really? Okay, well, according to GHR researchers, since you all know that since muscle require ATP consumption, the more the muscle mass, the greater the ATP consumption, so men burn themselves more rapidly and thus are shortened in life.
Shorten their lives, but the productivity of men in shorter lives is much greater than that of women in longer lives. Based on facts.
Where are your thoughts?
If you want to go through the list of great people, great male leaders who had short lives, yet they died in most awful ways, such as Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was a great leader.
What about Harriet Tubman? What about Rosa Parks? Even if they weren't leaders, they did much of the racism movement.
They did the racism movement, but did they die by murder? Did they die by murder?
How does that have anything to do with it?
You say men have shorter lives because
So if men are
increased
murdered,
danger.
they
Increased danger.
So if men are
increased danger. Men make them as enemies to others. So they have to be killed in order to stop their movement. However, women's movements are slow, and so they give them the extra time, even if it takes them the rest of their lives. And also, you said about Margaret Thatcher, right? Margaret Thatcher. You mentioned Margaret Thatcher, and she once said in the workplace, if you want something done, you ask a man. If you want something said, you ask a woman. And you say again.
I didn't even mention Margaret Thatcher.
You mentioned her when you...
I didn't even mention Thatcher.
This book is based on man's opinion. It's an opinion.
Did you
It's not
read
based
it?
on facts.
Did you read it?
I read
Did
the
you see
criticism.
the studies
It's the
written in it?
criticism. There's the criticism.
And other than that, you claim that since men are more muscular, what about women's women's sexual body lies within her womb, right? Okay, so how is that not important? Is childbirth not important?
How is childbirth related to the workplace?
I didn't mention the workplace.
Everything we're
I'm
talking
asking
about,
you a
this debate is about the superiority. Child labor is important, but is it important to the workplace?
What does the workplace have anything to do with it?
We're talking about the gender superiority in the workplace, right? In the professional careers. So how is child labor, which is at home, and women are given maternity leave, related to
human race, it has been proved that women are the superior ones. There are specific roles that females play that are definitely more significant than those of men. The most significant being childbirth, which is a responsibility placed upon women because of their special biological makeup. To every male in this room, please try to understand that you were carried, nurtured, protected, and born because your mother endured all that pain in her body. Women are far better biologically equipped than men. But how exactly? Well, first and foremost, women outlive men. And here's a graph that shows the life expectancy of females against men. As you can see, females have a much longer life expectancy. So what are the exact reasons of women's longevity over men's? As Tom Pearls, research by Daniel Abrams supported this fact, where he mentions in his book Man Down, that women tend to live about 85 years, while American men merely live 75.5. Of those 85 and older in the US, there are only 50 men per 100 women. The largest gap between genders occurs in Russia, where women on average make it to 71, while the average man doesn't make it to 60. So what exactly are the reasons behind women's longevity over men's? As Tom Pearls, the founder of the New England Centenarian Study at Boston University, said, one important reason is the big delay and advantage women have over men in terms of cardiovascular diseases like heart attacks and strokes. When women develop these problems, usually in their 70s and 80s, while about 20 years later than men, who develop these problems usually in their 50s and 60s. A reason for this is the female tendency towards iron deficiency. A lower iron load leads to a lower rate of aging, cardiovascular disease, and other age-related diseases, since iron ions are essential for the formation of oxygen radicals that have been implicated in neural and vascular aging and damage. A second reason is that the female hormone, estrogen, lowers the bad cholesterol known as LDL and increases the HDL cholesterol in the blood, which is the good cholesterol. In contrast to the male's hormone, testosterone, which increases the bad cholesterol level in the blood, LDL, and decreases the good cholesterol, HDL. Which puts men on greater risks of heart attacks and diseases. A second reason to believe that women are biologically superior is that they have two X chromosomes. Women have and this provides a huge health advantage, which is clearly the case for X-linked diseases such as color blindness. Since females have two cell lines, one paternal and one maternal, if just one of a woman's X chromosome is healthy, it can prevent the expression of most X-linked diseases. Males, however, have only if they only have one sick X chromosome, will inevitably be affected, as they have no backup X chromosome from a healthy cell.
Fourth examination by joining Muhammad Zaki.
Child laboring is the reason why we're here, our mothers. Okay, but don't you think that also our fathers have a role in the game?
Yeah.
Okay, so without statistics and children who want single parents are more susceptible to go to jail, and they're more susceptible to be dropouts, they're more susceptible to be outlaws.
Okay, I didn't mention anything about that.
But you said that because since we're all here in this place, we're behind us.
So you're telling me that people who have both parents don't go to jail? single mother. Is it man?
You?
No.
Yes. And the whole lecture, the biological lecture you just gave, it's all okay, facts. Facts, but it doesn't have anything to do with a professional career. It's said from the beginning.
We're talking about gender superiority in general.
Do you have any superiority?
You didn't say. Yeah, because they live longer. They live longer.
I'll tell you why you because men have depleted energy when they reach 70 years old.
Okay,
They don't have
that means we're superior because we're more.
No, because you don't work. You just relax at home, just nurture the children.
Okay, nurturing the children isn't that a big deal? If, for example, a
In
woman...
that case, all men on conventional diet
Can I
are
continue? If, for example, you're saying that women don't have a role if they grow old and stay home, they do. Because, for example, they have grandchildren. And these grandchildren's parents, they have to go to work or something. Who's going to take care of them? Except for their... You're saying that if a person grows old that we don't need them, we can dispose of them?
No, I'm not saying that. You're not disposing them. You're saying that I'm just giving you a clear a justification for why women live longer.
We know. I already know why.
Okay, let's say this is the pain from this child labor. You know, women can be such pain, but it's temporary comparing it to the men pain, psychological pain. The pain, the psychological pain from guaranteeing a shelter for his family, or guaranteeing protection, security. All this
So who guarantees a shelter for you for 9 months when you're in your mother's
And
life?
actually, we found something we have something, just check on the internet, that LDL is the good cholesterol. That's bad cholesterol, sorry.
LDL is
the bad cholesterol.
That's what I...
You just wrote in the presentation that
No!
that estrogen increases the LDL.
That one, right?
LDL is the bad.
Yeah, that's what we said. And testosterone
Decreases
increases LDL. Decreases the
Estrogen.
good cholesterol, HDL. No, estrogen decreases LDL, increases HDL, the good cholesterol.
Not this slide, the one before.
Okay, that was a mistake. I just advised him.
We're going to stop for a 5-minute break. Team conferences. Both teams will be working on the rebuttal. Please be quiet and attentive. Please be quiet and attentive. Thank you.